Well, you've had a couple of weeks of the season and a couple of weeks since the spotlight's been on you. How's that been, man?
Yeah, it's been good. I've been wording it as overwhelmingly positive. It's been a lot. It's something I'm not totally used to, but like I said, it's been a ton of positivity and something I'm very grateful for. And going back to my whole story, I'm just thankful to even be here and to be able to be in this position to be sharing some stuff. It's really special to me.
What are you hearing from fans or and other players from the other teams and things like that?
Yeah, it's been really cool. There's been a lot of really cool interactions with people on social media, opposing players, my teammates, coaches, everyone. Been some really cool interactions and just a lot of encouraging things. Just a lot of things that keep going, asking like curiosities about what happened and what I've learned from it. So sharing all these things and just kind of speaking my truth and speaking my story, having people interested in it is pretty crazy. But it's all been very uplifting.
Has it been okay getting back to baseball and playing baseball? I mean, that's what you're here to do. I mean,
yeah.
Is there some added pressure because of that, or
Yeah, at times I've always, that was one of my issues, was putting a lot of pressure on myself. So I'm learning getting back in baseball. It didn't just go away, and it's something that's still there that I have to work on. And now there's a new level of pressure that I'm finding with myself, that it's like being a spokesman or an advocate for this stuff. It's like you can't ever have a bad day. You got to spread positivity, but as I'm learning going through this, that's the farthest thing from the truth. I'm just trying to shine light on these things, and whatever happens, and that's what I'm comfortable with right now.
What is it that you want people to know?
A lot of things, but it's just that not everything is going to be. It's okay not to be okay. You hear that saying a lot, and I think that's right on, because I was a perfect example, living proof of the stigma that's going on, and looking like everything's great from the outside, but inside really struggling. So just trying to break that barrier and letting people, find a realization that it's okay to talk about things. It's okay to tell someone that you're close with what's going on, and it's okay not to be okay at times. And that doesn't mean that you're a lesser person. It doesn't mean something's wrong with you. It's just life's really hard, and I want people to understand that it's okay to feel crappy at times and to just learn from it instead of trying to push it away, because the more you resist, the heavier it gets. And that's something that I dealt with, and that's something I experienced full-fledged. So I just want people to know it's okay, and it's okay to talk to someone, and it's a really powerful thing to talk to someone. And I found it's probably the most healing thing I can ever do, is just tell someone how I'm feeling that day or what I'm thinking about in a weird way. So.
I'm also from Las Vegas, so I always see people sharing your story and how touched they have been by you being so vulnerable. What's it like to have a hometown and a support system that really rallies behind you?
Yeah, it means everything. I was really nervous about doing this. I was nervous about it being maybe taken the wrong way, maybe glorifying something what I did. So it was really scary at times, and being able to see the reaction that I've gotten and the support that I've received has meant everything to me and my family and everyone that's kind of in this with me. And just feeling that energy from everybody about how they're noticing how important this topic is, it just means so much to me, and it means so much to my family, and it's something that I really cherish.
Do you find peace out here on the ball field?
Yeah, I do. Like I said earlier, I'm finding that baseball's still really hard, and it's really challenging mentally, and I've kind of fallen back into some habits at times, some old habits at times, and it's just all these tests that it just throws at you. But the overall thing with baseball is so comforting, and this is just where I'm supposed to be, and this is where I belong. So I'm so fortunate to be back out here, and I'm so fortunate to be able to be doing this stuff along with baseball.
Has your experience given you a greater appreciation for what you're doing, and how so?
Yeah, it's interesting, because baseball, there's a lot of downtime, and every once in a while I find myself just kind of thinking like, man, I'm really doing this with one eye. So just appreciating that, and just knowing that I shouldn't be here, and I shouldn't be able to be doing these things, and taking the time every once in a while to just appreciate that, and appreciate that I'm still out here doing things pretty normally. I just try to find that time every once in a while to just really take things in and soak it all in, because that's something that I definitely didn't do before my incident.
Can you talk a little bit about owning
some of the moments that you've owned? I listened to a podcast where you said, I am depressed. So admitting that shortcoming or that dark place you might be in, what has that been like for you to own it?
I wouldn't say owning is the right word, because
Okay.
it definitely feels like it owns me when I'm in those times. It's something that I feel like just kind of overtakes me, but just kind of taking it for what it is and understanding that it's just something that's going on within me. It's not me. It's just a part of me. So in those times, I try to remind myself that I'm feeling maybe depressed at the time, but I'm not depressed. And I think there's a big difference in that word spin. And it's something that I used to do all the time. I would just say I'm a bad person. I am this. And kind of just understanding that, like I said earlier, life is just really hard sometimes. It's going to beat you down. And understanding that in those times, it's more about just focusing on what you are appreciative of. And I found that giving thanks to those bad times kind of lessens the blow, and it kind of like helps me heal a little bit faster when I go through those phases, because it's kind of like, for me, it's going in and out of these phases of feeling on top of the world, feeling depressed at times, and just giving thanks for all of it, because all of it leads to, you hear the cliche, it leads you to today, and it's where I'm supposed to be. So all those things have got me here, and each time I go through maybe a down phase, I learn a little bit more about mental health and a little bit more about myself. And it also helps me to relate to people that I'm trying to talk to. And I think that's the most powerful thing that I do right now, is the power of relatability. And I'm really fortunate enough to be able to talk about these things for maybe an audience that doesn't feel comfortable to talk about it.
What would you say to ball players that are up and coming and about the highs and lows of baseball and the grind and the call-ups and the send-downs? And what would you say to the up and coming athlete about what advice could you give them?
I think the phrase that you hear a lot, but you don't buy into as much as a young player, is and focus on the process, enjoy the process, and I really mean that. Like, enjoy right now. Like, what am I doing right now? I got so caught up in what I'm doing right now to get me to the big leagues, to get me there, to get me here. Like, it was all about doing things half-heartedly, focusing only on the future. And I think if I could have done a better job of just focusing on the present and focusing on the process, because after going through all this stuff, especially some tough seasons in the minor leagues and some tough call-ups and or tough send-downs and things like that, looking back, I appreciate those things so much. It's like it just was part of it, and it taught me something. But in the moment, it feels like crap. But I feel like if I could have done a better job in the moment of just understanding that it's a part of the process, it would have maybe let me deal with things in a more clear mindset rather than like straight panic mode and feeling lesser about myself. So I think really focusing on the process and really just taking it for what it is, and not getting too caught up in the future or where you want to be or what happened in the past. Really just focusing on the process and being as present as possible.
How do you do it with one eye? How do you hit a baseball? And how different is it,
Yeah. I don't know. It's kind of crazy. I said it in my film that I went to go hit the first time to say goodbye to baseball because I had one eye and I just didn't think it was possible. And I went to hit and things felt pretty similar. I was like, dang, let me try to hit something being flipped to me or thrown to me, and it felt pretty similar. And there was an adjustment phase all throughout this, but for overall, my body has adjusted really quickly or really well to allow me to try this early on. So I just kind of kept going. I just kept showing up to the cage, and things started feeling more normal, and I just got used to it. And before I know it, I'm 8-9 months into an off-season program, and I'm getting ready to come to spring training. So I don't know exactly why or how, but it's just something that I've been lucky enough to make the adjustment and maybe hang a little bit.
Does the ball look different coming at you, or or is it the same?
So the only visual difference that I see every once in a while is if I get too turned to my left side in the box, I can kind of see, I get a very small blind fuzzy spot in the corner of my eye because my nose gets in the vision a little bit. But other than that, things look exactly the same, and I'm able to still see the spin on the ball. I'm still able to see the shape out of the pitcher's hand, and for the most part, it feels exactly the same. I think when the ball gets close to me, I don't give it as much credit of needing to make some adjustments from a visual standpoint, but it's something that I'm just kind of going through the process, and I'm just trying to make those adjustments as best I can. Swung and missed a lot throughout spring training and throughout the season so far, but I think understanding that I'm seeing the ball really well and I'm seeing the shapes as good as I can, that's just going to lead to an adjustment that I think I'll be able to get back to a playing level that I was at before.
The Giants taking a chance on you. How grateful for you for the
Yeah.
Giants?
I've tried to explain my appreciation for that a couple times, and every time I try to talk about it, none of the words do justice for how much I was grateful for. And it was one of the things. I remember the conversation with Kaffler when he called me. I had to stop mid sentences and tell him, "Hey, I'm sorry, I just can't put a sentence together right now." I was so excited I couldn't even speak, and it was something. It's mainly because, like, just the way that they've kind of been behind me throughout this, like on a personal level, just offering support before they offered me a contract, offering support as a human being, just meant so much to me. And then once I was going through the work of trying to make a comeback, getting that news after kind of going through a couple phases of doubting myself and not thinking that it was possible and that I was possibly wasting my time with all the work I was putting in. When I got that news, I just wanted to jump to the phone and give everyone in the Giants organization a hug.
You went to go change your shirt before coming back after to talk to us. Tell me what that means to you. What's on your chest?
Yeah, it was a gift that was sent to me that I just got when we got back into town yesterday, and it was just a cool, obviously, message for the stuff I talk about. So I went and I wasn't planning on putting this one in. I went to go take the one I went to go take the one I was wearing off, but I saw this one. I just thought it was appropriate.
Drew, do you remember the moment that baseball started to feel like you remembered it?
As in, what do you mean exactly?
Like maybe when all of a sudden you started kind of enjoying it again and realized that you could do it, like you realized you could do it in the cage again, but to do all aspects of the game.
Yeah, it actually happened before I started playing games. It happened in the off season. I was going through a really bad phase of doubting myself and thinking that I was going to be a huge liability if I did make a team or if I did go to spring training. And I remember just kind of like having a realization one day, just saying, let me just see how nonchalant I can play the game and see how like loose I can play. And that was about somewhere like early January. And I remember from that point forward, I was really able to just like do things as I normally would and try things as I normally would, instead of before I was kind of like hesitantly moving and trying and thinking about my vision as balls were coming towards me and as things were happening on the practice field. So the day I kind of just like let go was the day that I really felt more free playing. And then getting back to baseball, or getting back to spring training, getting in game environments, I got reminded very quickly of how hard baseball was. And so I don't know if I'm completely there yet, but I definitely remember kind of like a switch going off and just letting things go and letting them be as they are around early January.
Is there a love for the game that has been heightened since your incident, or is it lower, or is it upper?
Yeah, I would say it's something I've always appreciated and always really looked forward to. Is just the interactions with my teammates and my coaches. Kind of the way we just hang out with each other and we're just always around each other and like kind of forced to be friends. But over time, you realize that like these are really good people and it's really fun to be able to just be around these guys nonstop. And it's something that I find joy in because it's a lot of goofing around, it's a lot of taking things serious. But at the end of the day, we all become really close after this, and it's something that I always enjoyed before, but I always kind of second guessed it because I was struggling when I would go home at night by myself. So that's something that I just kind of really let loose and really enjoyed. And then obviously competing again is just a different level. Once the lights come on, you get to actually compete against somebody.
And then seeing that home run and seeing it being played everywhere, just what did that moment mean to you? And then how cool was it to just see it everywhere? I mean, it was everywhere.
Yeah, it was really cool to soak it in. It was the first time I was always so businesslike in the baseball world when things were going well. I always thought that was what I was trying to do. You don't need to showboat or like appreciate it too much, but I would really focus on the bad things. And for the first time in my career, I was really able to like soak it in and really let all the good emotions out. And shedding some tears rounding the bases was something I would definitely have tried to hide before my incident, but it's something that I'm proud to say because it just like kind of overtook me in the most powerful, positive way ever. And being able to appreciate that moment, soak it in, and then being able to look up at my family when they were all there with me. My family was there, my friends, some of the doctors that put me back together, all these people that were there for me. Sharing that moment with them was, it couldn't get more storybook.
It really came full circle being able to do that right at home against the Aviators. So what is it like now to be here in Sacramento after being on the road for the first couple weeks of the season?
Yeah, it's something I'm looking forward to because I mean, I'm aware of the attention on social medias, and I see it every once in a while. So seeing people's excitement to see us come home and play in front of our home crowd is something that I've been really looking forward to the last couple of days. And I'm really just looking forward to just being out here and keep playing. So I'm really excited to feel the crowd's energy and feel what it's like to play in front of my home crowd.
If this was a movie, would you believe it?
No, I've said that plenty of times with my family. If someone would have wrote this in a quick little book or something, I probably would have just thought it was for sure a fiction book. So it's something that it's just crazy to think about at times, and those times I do sit back and think about the last year as a whole. It's really hard to put into words.
And this being Mental Health Awareness Month, too, it's just such a poignant time to talk about breaking down the stigma. Have there been conversations with you, your teammates, about how to support each other?
Yeah, I think that's, like I said, I think that's one of the cool things is a lot of players and people involved with the team have been curious about what I'm doing or what I'm thinking, and that just leads to a really cool conversation with whoever I'm talking to about maybe some of their things that they're thinking about and how they can impact and shed light on these things, because it's just a human thing that everyone feels these similar feelings from different triggers and situations, but being able to talk about it with people that I've been around my whole life but never talked about in that capacity has been really cool.
Is there a message you might like to offer someone who might be struggling with these concerns that might see this and be helpful?
For me, I think it's really important to talk to somebody. As I'm learning, or as I'm being out in the open about this stuff, I'm learning the more I talk about it, the more healing happens. The more I talk about it, I hear about the thoughts that I'm having, and I hear them out loud, and sometimes it doesn't feel as scary when you say them out loud. And I just think for someone who's struggling, just try it. Just experiment with somebody that you're close with. Set up a session with a therapist. Just talk about it. It's really powerful, and it's something that I can't really describe, or I can't explain why it happens. It's just one of those things that after I'm done talking about it, or after I've just had a therapy session, even if I talk about some really ugly things, I just feel better. And I think that's something that everyone can relate to, because everyone vents to people around them sometimes with something that happens in their morning that they didn't like. They go and vent about it to a friend or a coworker, and for some reason you feel better about it. And that's the very similar thing that happens when you talk about your emotions and talk about things that are bothering you. It's just something about it just makes you feel better when you get it off your chest.
Do you think you'll be able to focus just on baseball, or do you think that this is kind of your calling now?
This is definitely my calling, and I think I'll be able to focus on baseball at the same time. I think it's something that I'm kind of going through the process right now and experimenting how to balance things with giving my time wholeheartedly to one thing at a time. But this is totally my calling. This is something I'm going to dive right into and try to do the best I can to help people.
Really great to meet you.
Thank you so
Of
much.
course.
Thank you for your time.
guys.
Thanks for your story.
Thank you guys so much.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Is this tough to talk about, but then go play a game?
No,
No?
No?
no, this empowers me. This gets me in the best mood ever.
That's awesome.
That is cool, man.